The Cricket Show USA, the Cricket Hall of Fame USA, and the American Cricket Education Council, ACEC, is pleased to welcome the weekly joint collaborative broadcast of the Coach's Corner. The objective of the Coach's Corner is to provide coaching, education, and expert views, information, oral and practical assistance, while helping to educate those seeking to understand and to become actively involved in the sport of cricket, nationally and internationally. The segment of the Coach's Corner will run Sunday from 6:15 p.m. until 7, and will feature Jatin Patel, Cricket Hall of Famer and multi-sport coach administrator and director of the Cricket Hall of Fame. Good afternoon to you, Coach Jatin, and welcome to another edition of the Coach's Corner.
Good afternoon and good evening, depends where you are. But we are back with this another good show for this weekend.
All right, thank you. Let me kick off this show today with a question, and that is, Coach, what is the major cause and effect of decision failures in cricket?
It's not just cricket, it's almost every sport as well as normal life. The decision making is very important, which we discussed last week. And moving forward, the major cause behind this is how someone end up making a wrong decision or inappropriate decision. The decision, it's a normally we look as an outcome, whether it's a successful, whether the things we achieved, what we expected, or are we delivering based on what normally we do. So in a shortest way, it's a distraction, which is the one causing this decision making. And what it leads to, it's either failure or low performance. That is widely, we can say, we will definitely focus on T20 version of the game and how these distractions making impact where the player fails to perform or underperform for a reason. And that is what going to discuss today.
Thank you, Coach. One more point. The question is, sometimes, we think about it, but we don't always get the answers. But maybe you have something about, are distractions good or bad for decision making?
Normally, it can be both, but unfortunately, majority of the failures and underperformances are labeled because of the distraction. For example, if you are a batsman and doing well during the inning, and you might be, let's say, completed half century, but not able to finish 100. And in between this process, you have played well until that particular moment where you get something which caused the difficult time for you. And that is what it leads to your failure. Either you are getting out or getting in trouble from not scoring. But if you live by moment, or stroke after stroke, or the ball after ball, if you look at it, there is something change before this incident. And in that situation, the most of the people from outside as a fan will say it's a wrong shot selection, or they did not play the way they're supposed to. But in reality, the player makes a mistake because so many things happening. And if you label it right, the majority of the failures and underperformance are due to distraction. It can be so many different things happening. It's a thought process. But because of that, you come out to the conclusion and decided to do something either in a hurry or either in a crisis, but you end up with your expectation as a failure.
So, is there any time that one can say a decision made be effective? Can one say that a decision made to be effective? Does the outcome become improved?
That is the big issue here, because when you are in a game, especially let's say T20 version of the game, you are coming to a point where a lot of things are happening in your mind, and all of a sudden you have to make a decision in a, I will say, split second time. And that decision decides the outcome. If I have to give you an example, it's a today's game. I think it was Mumbai Indian playing against Rajasthan Royal. Mumbai was chasing. And if you look at the Surya Kumar Yadav, we call it Sky, SKY, the way he got out. What's happening here? He already scored 50 plus. He was well settled. He was the anchor to take the Mumbai team to the winning situation. But unfortunately, what happened? The ball he got out. It was outside off stump. Now, remember, he has played these strokes from outside the off towards backward square leg or behind the stumps, let's say, on the leg side. And he used to score runs too. But what happened in today's situation? There was a fielder inside the 30 yards, and he can clearly see there was a no one in a back, and that is what it triggers. He decided to go for it. So what came out as a distraction here is a two ways I counted. Number one, he decided to go for that area, no matter how he gets the ball. He has decided he will be going outside the off stump to take care of the ball and hitting in that area. Just scoop it. So just if it is goes over the head of the fielder, you are expecting 4 or 6. That's a one distraction, means he got something different than he can normally play or could have played different way. It was way outside the off stump, very close to the wide of the crease, and normally people think, why don't he just slap it towards the point or third man, and why he's going for that? So that's what we call it. Distraction means he decided to do something which he is normally not 100%, let's say this way. But he see a opportunity because of that open space. And that is what he gets into the thought process, the different distraction. The another thing is when he committed that shot, it's definitely missed time. If he had connected well, it could have been clear. If he had a middle of the bat, it could have went for the boundary, but it just balloons up and the fielder had enough time to get into. No doubt it's excellent catch. But this is the where we talk about distraction. A lot of people, means the players, they decide to do something different based on the situation. And during this rushing that decision, when they're committed to do it, means they are locked their mindset like, hey, this is what I want to do. That's it. I'm going for it in that area, no matter what. And in that case, they usually, as we look at the average, majority of the time, the decision making, if it is not right, it's always failure and it ends the inning.
Thank you, Coach. Very important decision making. Leon or Jason, Virgil or anyone else on the panel, if you have any questions for the coach, feel free to. Okay.
No, I don't. No. I'm going to keep on listening for now. And question.
Now, with regards to distraction, yeah, a number of players have come up with a number of ways to prevent or to avoid the distraction. For instance, they'll walk away from this stumps and go towards the square leg umpire. Now, this used to, before he comes to the wicket, he chews his gum. Okay? some batters will go down and tap in the middle of the pitch, while some players may sing a song. How effective are these preventive measures in terms of avoiding these stuff?
The distractions are always there in any situation. It's a how you control it. There is no way to avoid distraction, but you can definitely control on it. There is definitely one good example, as you said, batsmen are walking off from the crease, taking a, let's say, breather, and getting back to, but in this process, they're trying to clean up all the thought process in the head and coming back with something they are ready to do next. That's one thing. Number two, the distraction is not that easy. People think about it like you can stay quiet for 30 seconds and your head will be empty. No. The inside thought process is always cooking in your head. For example, when you are sleeping, your mind never sleeps. Even middle of the night, we call it a dream. What's happening here? This imaginary reflection is coming. Your mind is thinking about something happened today. Or mind is just going nowhere actually, where you never been to. But it's what it's happened is it's your thought process. So what happens, there is absolutely no way to stop it. But the good players or good humans, they control it. So what is another way to control it is, as I said, there is not something like a easy trick, like you grab a glass of water, take a moment for 15, 30 seconds and stay quiet and it will go away. No. But there is a way to fight with the distraction, which is a lot of players does. They do different sort of activity. Like, for example, Virendra Sehwag, if you look at it, he's just singing a song, middle of something. By the time he's coming, he just want to avoid everything is happening in his head or whatever is his idea, thought process, or mind is boggling, or whatever the distraction is. And before he get into the stress out and get emotional or frustrated, what he does, he changes his mood. What it is, he just forget about that moment he's at the crease. No, he just want to sing his own song. And what happens? When you automatically do something, the different activity, the most of the thought process in your head, it usually stops. It doesn't mean it will go away, but it will stop. And from that moment, at least you have an opportunity to keep the distractions coming back in action. At least I will say, depends on your mental strength, you can delay it, maybe 10, 15, 30 minutes. Again, depends on your mental strength, but there is a way to delay it. And during this delay process, you can achieve what you want.
And just to follow up on that, you said that a batter is facing a fiery fastball and he's hit by one that just runs past his helmet or touches his helmet. And how effective is it for his other partner to come down and say a word or two to him?
There is a one thing you have to be extra careful when you say this fast bowler is coming at you. So this distraction is what? It also brings the majority of the distraction, if you look at it, they are coming from two things. It's a fear of failure and worry of the outcome. These are the two things are cooking right away. So in your case, if I'm the batsman, then I'm definitely concerned about what happens if I lose the wicket. That's my concern right now because he's a fast bowler, let's say, right? It's a psychology. And the second thought process comes about worry of outcome. What happens if I try to play and ball doesn't hit the stump, but it hits my head? So now the batter is under the fear as well as under the worry. And that is the concern creates your thought process towards forcing you to make a either wrong decision or not the appropriate decision. But if you have to deal with this situation, I will suggest the other way. If I am the batter, I do not care how the fast bowler is running. I do not care what speed this fast bowler is coming to me. I don't even care how much he's hopping or jumping on the crease during his try to deliver that ball. What is coming to you? Is that a ball or that bowler? So if you're paying attention to his reap, it's a grip and a wrist and where the ball it delivers, and if you stay focused on the ball, you can deal much better than you are distracted by his speed or rhythm or momentum or whatever we say. So usually the player has to decide what they want to keep continue thinking about. Otherwise, there is so many things constantly bothering you, and that is the one is forcing you to make a mistake.
So, Coach, can you say, are distractions an automatic process or is it self-generated thought?
100%. Anything you do, even in a normal life, just take any example. If you want to do all of a sudden something, believe it or not, think about seriously. Your mind should have few ideas. At the same time, based on the past experience and expertise, it will have few concerns. Also, it will have some options. So if you blend them together, there is a lot of things happening at the same time. And if you look at it, the majority of the thought process is dragging you towards the distraction. Because, again, you are going for the fear of failure and worry of outcome. And that is what it's holding up you. But instead, the good players look for the survival. What is the next? It's the best thing is to find a solution to survive. And if you look at the survival approach first, without concerning or expecting the outcome, you can at least avoid those distractions.
So, is it possible at all, really, theoretically, is it possible to avoid distraction during the entirety of a cricket match?
No. It does not matter how good you are. There will be the situation, that is what the people call it, under pressure. What that means is, it's basically you are in a situation not able to handle it, or things are not going well as you thought or as you think or you had expected, and all of a sudden it's come to. I can tell you, Jason Holder today, look at that, I believe over number 18. As soon as he bowled the first ball, it was a wide outside the off stump and went for the four for third man. Look at his body language and face. He was paused for a few seconds, what he did. Now, what's happening here? If you read it right, he had a huge concern. He wasn't thinking about to deliver that sort of ball which can go for the 4 runs in the first thing. Number two, he might had a plan to go Yorker or close to the propping crease, way outside the off stump, so batsman cannot score at least the boundary. But he ended up with the full toss. So what happens here? We are not here to criticize the player, but this is the learning process. In that particular situation, the good bowler will let it go. It's done. That ball is gone. All you have to think about is what you can do to the second ball. Now, when you're ready to deliver the second ball, which he definitely did, he came out, turn around good. And what it is technically, forget that ball, what happened. Let's think about over again and let's deliver to the plan, right? And during that show, only the thing you have to consider before you bowl that second ball is not to repeat the same mistake because you just made that mistake. You don't want to repeat that again. Now, that is the one thing you can do. But at the same time, you have to see a better in this situation. The situation was what? They are in a tense situation where they need, I believe, 2.5 runs per every ball. Means they are going to swing the bat at everything they can see. So now those are the things comes into the action, and player has to control those things and go with the strategy or plan or wherever the confidence belongs. You got to have the confidence to do it. Otherwise, you cannot do it. And that is the point where you can avoid or delay those distractions and let's stick with it with your strength. And that is what the best thing you can do.
Okay. Another angle. Can you explain how distractions may be or is related to fear and worry?
It's always, let's say, if somebody is going down, we talk about this thing few weeks back on the radio on a normal chat. Every player have downtime. Every player has some strength as well as some weaknesses. But the weakness is the one in a professional sports people are trying to expose. For example, if you play, what the other team and other people are trying to analyze you. Definitely. What is your strength? So they don't give you that option to you so you can play freely. They are more concerned about finding your weaknesses. Now, when they go behind the weaknesses, they want to give you the hard time, the difficult time, or we call it the moment of discomfort at the field or at the ground during the proceeding. And what it happens is here, when you fail, let's say one inning, when you fail second inning, you are automatically in a very third game, you are going with the one fear is failure because you already failed twice very recently. So this is the third inning you are going for it, third game, let's say, in a matter of, let's say, a week or two. What happens here? There's a lot of things are coming into your thought process because of those two failures. And that is what creating the fear for you. What happens if I go there today? And at the same time, those two failures, without much contribution or scoring, it is definitely hamper you in terms the worry. Even you survive, now you are concerned about it, how long you can be there or what you can be scoring there. Same thing for the ballers. So this fear and the worry are the major and only concern, I would say, which brings more distractions, which can force you towards either low performance or the failure.
Fear, coach. It's there in most people. Any questions from the panel? Yeah. I don't know, want to comment, but I just want to follow up on something because the great sometimes I've heard stories of great teams first throwing little pebbles on the stump. And years ago, I used to hear about the spectators shining the torchlights and blowing their bubazulas in the stands. Some of this might be prevented by the umpires and the officials. But how In other normal circumstances, how would you as a player handle these situations if no intervention is being put in place to stop these kind of situations? For instance, I've heard of people saying, "Do you know where your girlfriend is?" You know, to the bucket.
Well, I love this question, and it's a very good question, 100%. Until now, we talk about inner thoughts, your inner emotions, and I call it internal thought process, the thinking. Now, this is the outside factor for the distractions. I can give you a few examples, and you can say, like, how you handle from the outside world or in a normal situation, surrounding, we call it. It is also important. I believe in 90s, there was an incident, I believe in Canada, in Toronto, when Pakistan was playing either against India or West Indies. They used to have a series, 50-over series going on. And I'm not trying to criticize any legend player here, but like to give you example how this can trigger. So what happened is here, I think it's Injamam ul Haq from Pakistan was fielding close to the boundary. And behind him, spectators are shouting so many things for him. Now remember, he's a legend. He is in the game. He is middle of the game. He is fielding for his team. But all of a sudden, he hear a lot of, I call it crap, let's say. People are talking so many things. At one point, he came out as a human being. He cannot tolerate anymore. So what he did, he came out of the ground during those times. We don't have these fans and protections between spectators and the players, we call it. So he run away from the ground and turned to the stands when somebody was shouting and telling bad things about him. So what happened here is, think about it. The legend was in the game, he is playing, but all of a sudden the surrounding where he hear a lot of crappy thing about him. So he got under the emotions and he ended up with the frustration which forced him to go out behind that fence. So if you look at this whole scenario, I look at the other way. I'm giving you a good example very soon. It's here, I call it, he did not control that moment under those distractions. And that is what he ended up going towards the stand. I don't want to give you more detail what happened, but I believe there was a police case and so much thing happened behind it. But our main concern is how you control these distractions and emotion. So I can tell you, this is same story. It happens in almost every part of the sport, whether you play recreational or professional, you have to be ready. Again, we call it a sledging, bad language. Bowler wants to tease you, or the batsman wants to tease you. Now, these are the ongoing. It's a part of the sport. But the good players are the one who do not get distracted. How? Because they don't get into. For example, let's take one of the great examples is Sachin Tendulkar. All my life, I never seen if somebody's talking to him, he is saying, I'm deaf. You talk whatever he wants to talk. That's fine. He will not respond. And even he is listening, let's say, he is not going to respond because he will wait for the right opportunity and let the action talk. So that is where how you control distractions and not get into. And again, distraction, majority of the comes from the inside, but there are a lot of outside factors can force you to think something else than what is your current activity itself, right? Another thing is the pressure situation can put any player under this distraction. or discomfort moment. And going towards again this Pakistan legend, if you look at it, YouTube, you will find there is a couple of videos where he has so many run out incidents involving him or his partners. And if you look at those, what's happening? It's at that one particular moment, there's something is happening where they are losing. And those are the distractions. Otherwise, he has a career, he has made runs, and almost every legend cricketer is the same. There is a moment comes where they have to control their emotions and they have to stay away from the frustration. And those are the part where the people, like I will say, name it few, for example, let's say McGrath, Muralidharan as a bowlers, I will say, or I can go with definitely Sivanarayan Chandrapal and Rahul Dravid. What these guys are? These are the one has much stronger capacity in their head to stay away from distraction.
If they could, all distractions related to the expectations and results of a match.
Some of them do. Again, this thing go as a player. I just give you two names, Rahul Dravid and Sivanarayan Chandrapal. Let's take the Sivanarayan Chandrapal, beautiful thing to see. He is a world record holder in terms of the number of partners he loses when he is at the crease. And I believe he has the highest number of players as a partnership carrier compared to any player in the world. So now, if you look at it, why some of the players are not able to do what Rahul Dravid or Sivanarayan Chandrapal does? Because of that mind control, I call it. They are tough. In other words, they are dedicated to do something with, again, focus and concentration, but they are not being trapped by the outside or the situation. I can give you a simple example. If you are a number 4 batsman, and let's say you went on and by the time, matter of few overs, let's talk again in T20, you lose like 3-4 wickets. So now you got tail-enders coming to you. Means now you are a huge concern because there are wickets are falling at the other end. You are ready to lose the partners who are not able to score because all senior batters are out. And now you are in some sort of a situation where you think like, I'm the one has to start scoring run. I'm the one has to rotate the strike at 4th, 5th, or 6th ball to continue rotate the strike. And at the same time, you are also getting to the concern about the team situation. If you are chasing, you know, the target. If you are batting first, you know you want to put as much as you can. You don't want to get out, means all out before the 20 overs. So what happens here? The expectations means you want to do something. And at the same time, expectation related to winning the game, that is definitely brings more distraction because that is what it's a thought process is like a bit, which is concerned about the outcome more than what you do. Means you are thinking about what about the next ball, but instead you are considering like how much time you got left, how many wickets you got left, how many overs coming left, and those sort of things. So those are the distractions are becomes more aggressive or comes in a more quantity when you are concerned about outcome, which leads tons of expectations.
Yeah, the function of player of revert a disruption. Example: a fiery fast ball is coming to you. He adjusted you on the helmet. Nothing happened. You continue. So he gets up. He punches in a position where he's going to hit it in the next ball. Or he may let that fast ball come run right up to the crease and then he walks away from the wicket. for him to repeat the process again. I don't know if you can think of others.
I can see that these are two options, definitely two options. Uh, I love this Antigua Sir Andy Roberts, right? he had his in a carrier. He used to trick these things. He used to hit the one bouncer which can go by you, let's say, without hitting you. And it just tease you, like this bouncer went by, and all of a sudden batsman thinks like, well, I could have played, you know. But the next one, only Sir Andy Roberts can do it, I can tell you. The next one comes like a deadly to take you out, nothing else. But in this your story, well, yeah, but in your story, I will say, when you already hit the ball, first one, then the second one is you only have two choices. Either you go for it, which is the good batter will not do it. I'm telling you right here, the good batter will wait for the opportunity. You just got the hit. So the next ball, your best option is the survival. If you got the second bouncers, you have to extra careful. That's one thing. But at the same time, don't get distracted. Don't be panic like it will hit again. You just play well to stay there. So look for the survival first, and then things can happen. Now, when you are going with the survival attitude, I would say, with the intents, and it's definitely positive sign with the confidence to face this bowler. And then you look for it. Again, if it is a bouncer to you, it's not about how he hit the first time to you. It's all about play with the credit and merit. If there is a ball to hit, go for it. If not, survive. But the simple way, instead of thinking about lot, just forget about that Billy. Get ready for the next ball with extra precaution to make sure you survive first and do something rather than you attack to do something.
Thank you. What, if any, recommendations to limit low can you make that could help to limit low performance or failure to perform? Are there any recommendations you can make?
The good thing is always one ball at a time. That's how we believe. To score a century, you have to score one, have to keep continue 99 more. You can save some if you can score boundaries. But if you look at the process, is a one ball at a time, one run at a time. And during this process, the best option is do not live with too many expectations and do not worry about the outcome. We talked about in a previous show also, if you need, let's say, 19 runs in an over, doesn't mean the next ball need to go 6 no matter what. But definitely, you got to have the different way to deal with it. Once you know 19 needed means the next ball, if you go with the survival and score maximum if you can, that is the one good approach. And those are the people succeed. But if you are in hurry, let's say 19 needed, I got to wrap up this thing in next 4. Otherwise, what happens if my team loses few wickets or something, will not be able to make it 19. What happens if I let it go the dart ball on very first, and then I have to score 5 out of 19. So now instead of thinking the outcome, you better stick with the next ball. And what is the most important, best thing you can do on the next ball? If it is a batter, definitely look for the survival. Means you want to stay not out without getting out. And during this process, you want to score maximum. And that is the right approach because your calculation, the outcome will depend the equation of demand, we call it, how many runs need after, let's say, 19 after 6. Let's say you score 3 runs on that ball. The equation does change now. Next 5 balls, now we need the 16. So instead of thinking about the outcome, if you stay thinking about what is next and what is the best thing you can do, life can be easy.
Okay, thank you so much, Coach. Any other questions from the panelists? We are approaching wrap-up time. No, not from me. All right, this sounds like that. Any other final thoughts on this decision-making, Coach, before we wrap it up?
I will say it's all about effective decision making, and in that process, either you avoid these distractions, or in some case, delay those distractions, and by that moment, to make the effective decision. I know it's very hard to do it, but it's all about practice and your thought process. And absolutely, there is no Bible or process for that, because we all are different people, different mindset, different thought process, different knowledge. But I will say everyone in their own control of this process. And if you find a way, again, to avoid distraction or delay the distraction, you can succeed with what you want.